this is Grunk the Smasher, and we're going into production on that in a couple months. You can see we have stone walls. We're in the process of building and painting for our dungeon scenes and stuff, and we're doing costuming, because, you know, it's all medieval clothes. You can't just, you know, just wear what you've got in your closet. I mean, it works for some people, but most people don't have it. I mean, we made friends with a big barbarian group and stuff up in Shasta. So,
really?
Yeah, we're making friends with all the, you know, Renaissance fair people and stuff.
So what is it called? It's the guys that do, like, the medieval reenactments.
The SCAs?
Yeah.
We're making friends with all those guys right now. Borrowing swords from everybody and stuff. But it's it's going to be rough, I think, but it's going to be worth it. So.
And hopefully 2 months or so until you go into production?
Yeah, we'll see. We may have a funding delay, so we may have to push back a month, but I don't know. We're going to make it work.
And are you planning anything special with this one as far as sets or locations or anything like that?
Everything's on sets and green screen again. More
so it's
sets.
all indoors, all studios?
All indoor. It'll probably be all shot in this room.
Is that
honestly.
like aesthetic decision or practical? Or?
A little bit of both. Actually, I think once we started working on sets, both Darren and I like the control. You can get over the lighting and the sound and just the controlled environment. Yeah. And because all of our stuff is kind of in not terribly realistic worlds, it works really good for us to be able to do this and up the fantasy factor on it and put it in weird, you know, environments and stuff. We have a lot of monsters and whatnot, so it works with our style. And then I shoot in a way that's very not normal lighting and stuff too. Like, I've always got colored lights and they're always flashing for no reason and stuff, you know, just because I love like Mario Bava movies and stuff, and that's kind of my aesthetic. And so I'm just like, to have this strange cartoonish world that we inhabit with our movies, and that's perfect for Grunk, who's very much like a Robert E. Howard, Conan inspired sort of character, and he has to, you know, save the girl and defeat the evil wizard and all your general, you know, barbarian type of story things.
What are the locations?
Mostly there's a number of dungeons, and there's these mines where the dark elves live, and there's this chasm where the chasm crawlers all live, and then there's the evil wizard tower where he's got this huge amphitheater up at the top, where he's got this, you know, haunted pool and altar, and he's got the girl chained up, and, you know, I have to do all the rituals to make the monster come at the end and that kind of thing.
To see how you do the caverns and the rock walls and the caves and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's
so
tricky business.
Yeah, we have some of the walls left over from our evil cult lair in Badass, that we have 3 of these big sections over there right now that we're in process of repainting, so we're going to have a little bit of the Badass sets in here as well. And then a lot of the big stuff will be CG. You know, so it's a combination.
So how much do you think this film's going to cost, Grunk's the Smasher?
Well, we're thinking
micro budget, so 5,000, 10,000.
No, quite more like we're hoping to get 100,000 for this.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a lot more stuff. The reality is, we'll probably be lucky if we raise 50 and we'll still make it, but and it'll just take a little bit longer. But
so your budgets have been increasing.
Yeah, I mean, at least in theory, the last 2 movies were probably about the same based on what we raised. So, you know, I'd love to get a you know, $5 million budget or whatever and make a movie, but I don't know. I kind of scared of money people and compromise. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, we can maybe get more funding, or we just do our own thing and then see how it goes, you know? Yeah. And then the ideal is someday to take all these little movies that we've made and go get a big budget, you know? But if not, we're going to keep making them anyway. And just, you know, you see a lot of people that wait for funding to even start their movie, and we'll just do it as we go. We're like, whatever. We're making a movie, you know? We're artists. We're making art.
So let's talk about, so you've been making movies for like 10, 15 years? 15 years?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we started in the early 90s, but then we got derailed for a while and went and did cable access and stuff instead.
Which is not bad.
No, it was cable access was awesome awesome learning tool for us. We learned how to edit over in their 3/4-inch machines and everything. So it was a lot of, and also meeting deadlines was really good for that one.
Yeah. So how has budgeting and fundraising changed, and where do you think it's going?
I don't know, honestly. Everything's changed just in the amount of time we've been making
How has it
movies.
changed?
It's changed so much, especially with distribution and stuff. I mean, there used to be this whole, traditional model of like, you make a movie, you get a distributor to release it, you get upfront money, and they release it everywhere, and that's just not there anymore. That's just not the way it works. I mean, you can self-distribute now because of the internet and everything, and it's, I don't know.
Is that what you guys are thinking you might do?
We probably will have to, honestly, unless, somebody walks up and says, hey, we want to buy your movie and get it out there. And, or we'll either self-distribute or I don't really like the idea of self-distribute. I like the idea
It's a lot of work.
Exactly. It's like a whole nother full-time job. Like, I don't want to do that job. I didn't even want to be a producer, but it's like one of those things, you want to make movies, somebody's got to produce, and then you step in the role. But yeah, I don't know. We'll either find somebody to get it out. When we get a little bit closer, we'll sit down with Jonathan and get some advice from him and maybe get some contacts and, send a bunch of stuff out, see if anybody hits. I don't know. Things are changing, too. I mean, maybe for the next movie, it may be better to go with, someone, like, try to get money from, like, one of the channels out there, like, that's just constantly producing that stuff now.
Like a sci-fi or maybe something worse?
Yeah, or, one of, even like a Netflix or a Hulu or something. I mean, we're probably, too low budget for their taste and too genre, maybe. I don't know. But
I've seen some stuff on Netflix. So.
Right?
But
I mean, it's just like
5 minutes and you're like, oh, God.
Yeah, there's so many...
well, I'm done with that.
There's so many just, like, internet channels and stuff that are producing their own content. And so,
You mean like YouTube channels?
YouTube channels, Netflix, Hulu, all those guys are producing their own content now. So
Hulu
that's
distributions in the Bay Area. We should do a field trip.
Ooh.
Talk to those guys.
You're the teacher.
Open
You're
the
the
door.
boss.
Field
You
trip.
tell us what's what.
Let's open the
Remember,
door.
I work
Can I
Friday,
go?
Saturday, and
Sure.
Sunday. The more the merrier.
By the
You're
way,
not
I've got
invited.
this film. Here's a screen.
Right? Take advantage of every opportunity. But,
Here's the movie. Bye.
but yeah, so that's where we are. Right now we're in pre-production on Gronk, trying to raise money and finish our schedule and finish casting and, not get too derailed by every problem that comes up. And
So it's a feature-length film.
yeah.
So is there like minimum technical standard requirements that you have to qualify for a feature as far as length or like quality of minimum resolution? Is it like distributors ask about that stuff or they just don't really care?
Probably.
Like is it like a magic like 80 minutes, 84 minutes,
I think, yeah.
94 minutes?
We always
or-
shoot for 85 because we do exploitation horror, and you don't ever want to go too long. You don't want a 3-hour
Okay, so
exploitation
under
horror
85.
movie. But what's funny is every one of our movies comes in at 95. No matter how hard we try for that 85-minute mark, we always hit 95. And that's always, we always do a first edit, and it comes in like 2 hours, and like, oh, this is way too long. Cut a bunch of stuff out.
So are your scripts like 85 pages long or less, more?
Fairly close. I found that the page count is fairly good.
Okay.
A way to gauge. I mean, you got a lot of action and stuff. Sometimes it's going to be a little different, but like this movie's got tons of monsters and tons of fights and.
So one of the tricks to getting distribution is working with B-list actors. Have you ever thought about doing that?
Oh,
or-
we think about it all the time, and then we don't always have the funds, though. I mean, we made calls and talk to people and get an idea, and then it's like when it's time to go into production, it's like, well, if we have the money, do it. If we don't have the money, just move. Just make the movie, and we'll see how it goes.
Is the money ever within grasping range, or is it just kind of unrealistic, or?
I don't know. I think maybe if I had a co-producer that was good at raising money, we might be better off.
To raise money specifically for that.
Because I get antsy. I'm like, okay, we can spend all this time raising money, but you know what? Let's not. Let's just make the movie. Let's see how it goes. So I don't know. I'm hoping, ideally, the ideal is to always get bigger and better with every movie, and so hopefully one of these days we'll all get paid and we'll have stars. But in the meantime,
Stars somewhere.
yeah.
Somewhere on some
But, you
sidewalk.
know, whether or not that happens, we'll keep making movies, and hopefully, you know, some kid 50 years from now will stumble across them and it'll inspire them to make their own movies
Oh, yeah,
too,
totally,
or something.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I know when I was a kid, I'm like, I stumbled across like H.G. Lewis movies, and I'm like, what's this? This is crazy. Who's this guy in the 60s doing all this blood? You know? And so, you know, guys like that were a big inspiration to me.
So, speaking of inspiration, so do you have any advice for, because these guys, you're a student at Sac City, and you guys are at AI, and you're graduating like in 2 months, and you're going to be graduating.
I'm gonna be graduating. I would be graduating sooner, but I'm only, the way they have me scheduled is like 2 or 3 classes a quarter, so I could be graduating in half the time that I am, but I'm not,
I
because
blame myself. So, for aspiring
What?
filmmakers, I said I blame myself.
I blame you too. It's okay. Glad we're on the same page.
Now that's on the table. So, for aspiring filmmakers, what advice do you give as far as like best practices for getting a movie made, like producing, fundraising?
Just do it. Don't let people and their stupid notions derail you.
That's
There's
what I thought
always
you were
going to be
gonna say.
naysayers that say, "Oh, you can't possibly do that." Prove them wrong. You know, just get in there and make movies.
What's the best way you guys have found for raising money?
Everybody and everybody.
Any surprises that you weren't expecting that kind of turn out?
I don't know. I like crowdfunding, but I see a lot of people
Through Indiegogo?
overreach on crowdfunding. It's like, oh, I have no track record and I'm going to raise $1 million this way. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You know, no, you're not.
I've noticed you don't do crowdfunding for the entire thing.
No.
You do pre-production funds.
We do
and
like
then-
small crowdfunding because we find if we keep it small, like $5,000 or something a pop, we can do that. We can always do that generally. So, you know, we keep that, and then the funnest things to do are the live shows. We do like live variety shows and music shows, and you know, because we did the film festival for so long, and Darren's also a musician and stuff, so we're all in, you know, with clubs and whatnot.
Do you get more from the
Group finishes
one or
said,
the other?
hey.
No, you know what? Generally for fundraiser shows, we're lucky if we make $1,000 at a time. But you know, that $1,000 can go to building a bunch of wood and feeding everybody a few days or whatever. You know, so every one of those adds up, and they're super fun because it also builds your audience at the same time. You know, then everybody's like, "Oh,
Right.
I can't wait to see this movie," and then they're on your mailing list, and so you're constantly building. As long as your events are super fun, then everybody wants to keep coming, and it's like, oh, $10 at the door, and I'll buy $10 worth of raffle tickets too. Excellent,
Yeah.
you know, and make a little money that way, and keep your project out in the public too. Like we've got a pretty good local audience. So you go to other towns, nobody knows who we are, but you know.
Tell us
Whatever.
about building an audience and maintaining an audience.
That's hard, but it's a good thing to do for sure. It's important to have your audience and build them and keep in touch with them.
How do you do that?
Social media, email
Facebook.
lists,
Do you do
Facebook.
things other than Facebook on social media? or
I
just
don't, but we have people in our group that do. You know, like
The Tumblrs and the Twitters
Yeah,
and
and all
that.
Instagrams.
Okay.
yeah, I get the younger kids on those. I'm like, go do the Tumblr for us. And then I just do the Facebook. I'm like, that's enough social media for me already. I can't handle all of it. But yeah, and then you know we send out occasional email. Like if we have a fundraiser show, I send out an email to everybody, post like crazy on the Facebook, have everybody share it on the Twitter and whatever, and put out press releases. Still, the press is still really good. I mean, it's changed too. But like getting on TV or on the radio or in the
How
newspaper
do
and
you
stuff is still.
how do you trick them into publicizing your events?
Just make really exciting press releases, I guess, and then consistently deliver. And we've been pretty lucky with the press. You know, with the film festival, it's hit and miss. Sometimes they're like all over it, and sometimes not. And same with the Zombie Walk, they were. Sometimes people were all over it, sometimes not. But when we do movie premieres, we do fairly good. We get some nice write-ups and News and Review and the Bee, and we do a lot of Good Days Sacramento and stuff like that. And so it's, you know, and for doing that for years and years, you just kind of build up your audience. after a while, and just try to keep new things to keep your audience engaged. And then, but it's rough to build like a larger audience too. I mean, we're pretty good at the local thing because we've been doing it a bunch for a long time. But it's hard to get out there to everybody. That's where the distributors and stuff come in. But, you do best. I mean, we randomly, every now and then, it's like, oh, some guy in Canada wants to buy a Blu-ray. Okay. And we send it to him in the mail, He sends us money into PayPal. We send it to him. It's good. Every now and then you get a random email from some dude in Minnesota that stumbled across your movie online and just wants to tell you how much they loved it. And so...
So what about distribution? Do you have advice for best practices, things to do, definitely things to watch out for?
Yeah.
Definitely watch out for, there's a lot of shady dudes out in distribution. So be careful. I mean, we think we're being careful and we still get burned all the time, but
So have a lawyer around, I guess.
Lawyers are good, yes.
How do you get a lawyer?
Ask all your homies that do film around town. Who's your lawyer? It's your lawyer. Never underestimate the value of having a lot of other friends in the film community. That's probably the biggest asset we have.
Like, ask them if this is a good deal.
Yeah, the biggest asset I think we have is just knowing a lot of people and networking in the community, because then it's like, oh, I need a lawyer. Ask someone for a lawyer. Oh, I need someone to come fill in and do live sound for us this day on set. Where's the sound guy? And you just keep all those avenues open so that because making indie films, you're gonna have shit go wrong like every day. It's like 90% creative problem solving and making things work and figuring out how to make them work. So the more people you have in your network that you can go to for help or advice or whatever, that's huge. Absolutely huge. It's good.
Have your crews gotten bigger with each film, or is it the same kind of crew?
No, unfortunately, a lot of because of the way we fund as we go, and we don't really. For us, it's more about the art than the money.
Yeah.
So a lot of times our crews are volunteer,
Bunch
and
of friends
that's
helping
a real thing. And ideally we want to pay everybody, but we can't always, and we're upfront about that. We're like, we want to pay you, we don't have the money. None of us are getting paid. Come make a movie with us. And we have a lot of people like, I want to do it. So it varies. Like, we have some people that have been crew on all our movies, and then there's like a flux of people changing too. It's like, oh, so and so got a job, he went and did this, instead, or so and so moved away. And unfortunately, with actors, a lot of times your actors move to LA after a while. It's the thing they do. And so,
How could they?
right? So a lot of our best actors have moved, or whatever. So we find new actors and a new crew, and and there's always people that are like, oh, movie, I want to do that. That sounds fun. And of course, half of those are going to be like, oh wait, that's real work and commitment. Never mind. They just think the fun part, and then they realize what it really means, and then they fall off, and that's okay too. But then you get a number of other people. It's just like, I love what you guys do. I want to be a part of it. And so, and that's kind of where our brain is like, oh, we're making this huge, large-scale collaborative art project. Come be a part of it. It's kind of like community theater, most people work for free, but everybody's got this cool thing to show after.
Cool. So Grunk the Smasher then is the next
Grunk
one.
the Smasher, yes. Which has an interesting backstory too, if we got a couple more minutes.
Go.
Okay. Right after we did release Monster from Bikini Beach in 2008, which was what we consider our first real feature film. We did that, and then we were doing the film festival at the Crest at the time. We did a show in the spring, and we shot a short that was like 20 minutes, and we did that like in a month, from writing to showing it at the Crest. And it was like, whoa, we could do anything. And this is 2008. And 3D was making a big comeback then, and we're like, let's make a short adventure film that we'll just show before one of our movies this year. We'll make it in 3D, and we'll do it all green screen. So, which seemed like a great idea. So Darren wrote the short. It was Growth the Smasher. And we shot it all with 2 cameras side by side in our backyard, all on green screen. Oh my God. And then and it was like, a few weeks away from when we were going to show it, and it dawned on us that, okay, maybe we bit off more than we could chew on this one. Maybe we are over ambitious, because putting this whole green screen 3D adventure together in a month is probably not going to work out. And so it kind of got shelved and forgotten, but it was been a thorn in Darren's side. And he's like, oh, I hate not finishing stuff so much.
You
And so he
gotta scratch that
turned.
itch.
So somewhere along the line, he turned the story into a full feature-length script.
Because it kept bugging him.
Because it kept bugging him. And then it was time to, after Badass, was like, okay, what's our new movie? And he's like, I really want to do this Grunk movie. And then we go back and forth. Maybe we should do the Giant Armadillo movie where we don't have so many sets and costumes. I don't know about... And then we talked to Stuart Gordon, and he said, do the one you want to do the most. It's all hard. And we're like, that's real. Okay. And here we are doing Grunk the Smasher now.
Cool.
So...
All right. Well, looking forward to it then.
I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be, we get people out here in monster suits and dudes with swords. We haven't announced our casting yet, but we have this guy that's playing Grunk that's awesome. Yeah. He's a professional wrestler, and he's big. And we did some tests last week with him in his suits and stuff. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. So, watch for updates on that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Do you guys have anything?
No, I don't.
Right.
No questions.
Oh,
Dan.
actually, when is the Grunt Smasher going to be released, you think?
Our best guess right now is we're shooting for sometime in 2020, probably, because it's going to take a while to shoot it. I mean, our schedule right now, we just set our schedule, but we haven't released it to any of the actors yet because we might have to change it, and we don't want to be like, oh, here's your schedule, and then a week later go, actually, no. So it's like, rather than look like a bunch of jerks.
A year for production and a year for post.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, I mean, we have a 6-month shooting schedule right now because it's primarily just on weekends.
Yeah.
And, which is not the ideal way to shoot, obviously. But, again, if you don't have quite the funds to you work around people's schedules and stuff. And then from doing a number of other projects like this, too, we are fully aware going in that whatever that schedule is, it's going to change. It's going to get longer. Something's going to happen. Someone's going to be sick. Someone's going to have to, someone broke their leg. Something, happened that throws it all off schedule. So we're going in knowing that. So we've purposely scheduled a few more breaks in, which makes it take longer, but it gives you a little bit of leeway when something goes wrong. It's like, okay, we can use this weekend for pickups if we have to or whatever. So...
All right.
It's going to be awesome, though.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right. Well, thank you, Christy.
Sure thing.
Yay.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.